brought some Wi-Fi panel, basically. And you're all welcome, of course, to comment on some of the things you've heard this morning, if you wish. But just to kick us off, I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves and talk to us about what's the most important thing you guys are doing in the Wi-Fi space right now. And Ivo, I'm going to start with you, and we're super happy to have you as a partner. And tell us about BN and the work you're doing here in Switzerland.
Yeah, I'm doing business development for BN, or actually for our customers, which are the operators in Switzerland, small, medium operators. We don't have very large operators in Switzerland. We have a lot, but small and medium ones. And we are supplying service platforms to operators. This is what we are doing in Switzerland.
Yeah. And are you working with them closely also in terms of operations and things like that, or is it more the integration phase?
We are more supplying technologies,
yes.
And then we are probably operator support, etc., etc. But
right.
we are not an operator at all.
Mm-hmm. And Paul, tell us about what your most important Wi-Fi project is right now, if you can.
Yeah, so we're currently specifying next generation gateways for our 5 major opcos across Europe, Sunrise in Switzerland being one of them.
Yes.
Wi-Fi is a massive part of that. So
yes.
we talked about earlier of the failed parenting of my
yes.
Wi-Fi doesn't work, or how do I get my Wi-Fi to my house? Customers see Wi-Fi as that ubiquitous.
Right.
For us, the speed is becoming a hygiene factor. I really don't care whether it gives 2 gig or 4 gig or 100 gig. It's about stability and reliability. So ubiquitous coverage across the home at the rate that comes into the home, but that stability, the latency particularly, is
yes.
the key thing for us.
Yes, great answer. And Nitin from Corvo, go ahead and tell us what your most important project is right now.
Okay. So new to Corvo, thanks, Claus.
Yeah.
Right? So, but 25 years in wireless. But the most important projects that I see right now in terms of Wi-Fi are like home installations that are tri-band, right? You know, you see 2 different kinds of tri-band. You see 2.4 gig, upper 5 gig, lower 5 gig.
Mm-hmm.
You see 2.4 gig, 5 gig, 6 gig. Now the issues that our customers face in Europe, particularly,
mm-hmm.
power consumption. 4x4 plus 4x4 plus 4x4. And there's some pressure from the population and the government to make sure that this is green and sustainable. And that's where I get excited, because if you have the right filters and if you have the right efficient amplifiers, you can reduce the power budget. You can go from like 25 watt to 15 watt. So that's happening right now.
You can get better performance, but you can also get new form factors, for example, that
Absolutely.
are smaller, more compact. And I think one of our speakers also talked about, I mean, in general, the importance of reducing power consumption in general, because there's a huge amount of energy that goes into powering all these CPs. And I know you've had that as a big topic as well, and you still have it, presumably.
Talked here, or in Brighton, I think it was.
Yeah, it was,
on exactly that topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just power consumption, right?
No.
It's like new bands, new channels, new technologies. You have to coexist with ultra wideband, with Bluetooth, with 5G, with everything.
Yes.
Lots of filters. It's the easiest path.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right now, that's what I'm seeing in the market. But I do see there is a path, there is a demand in the market to have this all sustainable and green for the long term.
Yes.
Especially in Europe.
Yes. Ivo, talk to us a little bit about what Swiss, okay, so you serve some, I think it's fair to say, smaller Swiss ISPs mostly.
Small and medium Swiss.
Yes, small, medium Swiss.
Yeah.
And so what do they really want in terms from the Wi-Fi industry, and what kind of Wi-Fi services do they want?
Well, let's ask the question what the consumer wants.
Yes,
they
what
want
does
to
the
have
consumer
a reliable, sufficient connectivity. That's it.
Yes.
That's it. Sufficient. It's not all about bandwidth. It needs to be sufficient.
Yes.
And I believe what our operators want to have is not providing hardware, access points. They want to operate a home network, because this is very crucial for everybody, you need to operate the home network, otherwise you are lost.
Yes.
And this is actually the
Manage.
business I believe service provider should get in and operate the home network.
When you say operate, you mean monitor, manage,
Of course.
all of that, right?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you've got the hygiene factors of the building blocks of that. So Wi-Fi 7, particularly with MLO, giving you that base performance. It's really difficult to sell on latency because customers understand that 2 gig is faster than 1 gig. They don't understand necessarily that 10 milliseconds latency is better than 50. Nor do they understand that average latency means nothing. It's 99th percentile where it peaks is where you get the interference, where you get the discernible difference. So it's putting those building blocks in place from the technology point of view with WM and QoS, with identifying traffic flows and like, but then managing and optimizing that network, because most of our customers don't really understand Wi-Fi. They don't know. They just want it to work.
But Liberty Global, in my view, has always, you guys, by the way, super active at our events, and we're super grateful for that. And you were in Brighton, and I know other folks from Liberty Global have spoken at our events. But you guys seem to be super focused on that and also vocal about what you're doing. I mean, is that a unique position for you? I suppose everybody wants to, knows the importance of Wi-Fi, also including the ISPs. But you're also, my sense is you're also looking sometimes from some industry engagement and this is
absolutely. I mean, we're so take the power. That there's the minimum to keep you out of jail, which is currently 8 watt high in a standby, becoming 7 watt in a couple of years' time.
Yes.
But actually, most devices, most of the time, will have some traffic that will keep them out high in a standby. Nor are those devices using 35, 40 watts on full belt all the time. Most devices, most of the time, will use less than 50 megabits of throughput. So optimizing that sort of Goldilocks zone for lowest power consumption. We're never going to make a marketing claim around that because you'd be like accused of greenwashing or whatever. It's really hard to justify. But doing the right thing as an industry, as a baseline, absolutely collaborate on that because it's the right thing to do. And customers now are ever more sensitive to their bills, electricity bills, particularly with the last 2 or 3 years of energy bill inflation.
And there is, I think, also some standardization work going on as far as managing APs for power efficiency and so on, right? I think you guys are, I don't know if you're involved in the standards, but this is certainly something that you're working on.
Absolutely, yeah. And really the whole industry needs to work together through that. The silicon providers need to build the silicon that's specified by the Wi-Fi Alliance and IEEE. The operators need to use those APIs, and honestly, we haven't historically. So we haven't implemented all of the things and given the feedback to it. The customers then get the opportunity to use it. So unless we have that sort of virtuous circle of use, those things aren't going to be picked up and developed and hardened.
Right. And Nitin, do you agree with that? I mean, two of the things that we hear today over and over again, the quality of the experience, of course, which by the way, is obviously, of course, not anything new. We've been working on that for a long time, but it has been evolving really nicely. And actually, power efficiency, right? Those are two of the big things. Do you agree?
Absolutely. So power efficiency is important. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So thanks for your comments. But yes, power efficiency, right? So if you have 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, you end up with a power problem. Right? So it's a heat sink issue, it's a FEM issue, it's whatever it is, right? But what we are seeing is, without disclosing any confidential stuff, people are coming with innovative architectures right now. And these will be deployed in 2 or 3 years. And essentially the idea is like Wi-Fi 7 overshot in terms of cost. So the reason is because now every CIO needs to have an AI strategy, has to have an AI inference at the edge strategy for 4 years, 5 years from now, which means they have to spend more on CPU, they have to spend more on memory. The use case is not super clear. There's a lot of risk. So people become conservative. They're like, do I need this tri-band right now, given the industry thing, right? But the market is growing, like consumers want it. Consumers want a good experience. Telcos don't want to load up their call centers. I used to work here in Swisscom in Switzerland for 5 years. And I remember every time somebody calls a call center, to pick up the phone is 30 Swiss francs. To send a technician is 700 Swiss francs. That's 1 year of revenue and profits wiped out, right? So this is the problem we are trying to solve. In German, they call it here, this is French-speaking area, but in German, they call it sorgenlos, worry-free.
Yeah,
Right?
it's worth-free.
That's where we're going. So,
Ivo, is Wi-Fi 7 a thing for your type of client here, which are typical, by the way, we should say, and you can tell me if this is correct or not, tend to be smaller, small to medium, but fiber-based operators, right, in Switzerland?
Well, most ESO will be fiber-based
Yes.
very soon. I
Yeah.
think we are talking about fiber access today.
Yes.
Wi-Fi 7 is definitely a subject. Wi-Fi 8 will be a subject. I think it's going on. It's going on. I think the important fact here is the home is going to be digitalized.
Yes.
And we are just in the beginning, and connectivity is going to be so important. And nobody has this under control today. Nobody. I mean, a century ago, we started electrification in the homes.
Yeah.
And it was exactly the same. And I'm just asking myself all the time, why the most Wi-Fi access points going through retail and online stores?
Yes.
This is a service provider business, 100%. And they just let them go. I don't understand this.
That's a very good point. And I think everybody will probably, I mean, obviously every service provider, I think, will agree that it's their thing. They have to manage the Wi-Fi all the way to the device, right? This is what you're advocating.
Yeah.
Right. And in Switzerland, it's the same. You're leaving
It's
too
the
much of the
same.
market.
It's the same. It's the same. The retailers, they shipped so many access points, more than the rest of all service providers in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And this is...
And I think that is essentially a marketing and commercialization problem. As a service provider, if you're giving an access point or 2 access points or 3 access points with your gateway, the customer expectation generally is that's for free.
Yes.
But then you've got that business case of I'm paying €50 per access point to buy them and give them to free. I've got to monetize that in what I charge as a subscription or in some other value.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're buying them from Amazon, it costs me nothing directly. It does cost me a lot because I lose control of my network.
Yes.
And that's the sort of juxtaposition of the two of do you allow the over-the-top sales? I think we, unlike a lot, do push our own integrated system, and I know a lot of the other major tier ones do, but it's not everyone.
And Ivo, I know you provide the technology to these ISPs and so on. Is there any technology you've seen here or anything that you have on your radar? And by the way, you can say the word AI if you want to. Is there anything that you can say, this is something that we can use as a supplier, as a vendor, as an integrator to add value to our ISP business?
Yeah, I mean, we supply today to a service platform which goes into access and Wi-Fi. This is Bloom and Calyx.
Right. Okay.
Both of them have a very nice service platform and works very properly. And they go in the right direction. Wi-Fi is not hardware. Wi-Fi is a service.
Yes.
That's what is the important thing.
Yes. And does that resonate with the ISPs that you serve? Are they good with that idea?
Well, we are actively working on them to provide the Wi-Fi as a service and not selling a box.
Yeah, exactly. Any questions for our panelists? I think there's one. Go ahead, Dean. Can we have a microphone? Is there a mic runner? We're going to ask one of our AV guys to run down there.
I've actually got a couple of questions. First one, every event on mobile I go to at the moment talks about APIs non-stop. And I have heard bits and pieces today, but there's nothing equivalent to the sort of Project Kamara or the Open Gateway initiative I hear for cellular. How does that read across to home Wi-Fi? The other question is, and it follows a little bit up with a question just now about Wi-Fi as a service, where you've got fiber or broadband provided on a wholesale basis, like open access fiber, is it the fiber wholesaler or the ISP retailer who should be doing the Wi-Fi?
I mean, for me, it's clear. it's all connectivity, and connectivity ends here, nowhere else.
Correct.
So I believe Wi-Fi is part, or home networking is part of the access.
I think from a technical architecture point of view, yes, but from a regulatory and a compliant and commercial point of view, no. So in the UK, OpenReach is regulated and a legally separate entity to BT. It sells to BT and other providers in the UK. At Liberty, we're looking to follow the same model both in the UK and Netherlands and Belgium, where it's more of a commercial balance sheet thing of being able to show the value of the network versus the operation. They, as the retail arm of it, will by necessity have to sell the gateway and the Wi-Fi to their customer, but it is an end-to-end network that they need to do. So we're creating an artificial construct in that because for financial reasons, and at the end of the day, we're looking to make money. We're all in the business of making a profit. Clearly, technologically wise, you'd want one operator, one network. They're all the same. It's ubiquitous, and you just give perfect Wi-Fi for free. That's realistically never going to happen.
Did you have any more questions? Oh, the API one. Did you hear that?
So that's something that we're looking at aggressively internally. I mean, we have a unique setup where we have Liberty Group who own several opcos, and by definition, the back end, we're looking to build efficiencies of that. So having APIs for them to develop in-country customizations on what we do without being a big monolith that imposes you must do something in the UK that's the same as Netherlands, that's the same as Switzerland, where they're vastly different, very similar, but also vastly different consumer organizations. So yeah, absolutely. And we are looking at where there are potential benefits to come together in an open source kind of community way, where generic APIs for systems, but that's very embryonic, if I'm honest.
Very good. Couple of more questions for you guys. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about services, maybe a little bit about IoT, Matter, all of that. Are there new opportunities that you're actively looking at in that space in terms of service provider provided things like Matter IoT? I mean, I think it's still maybe a little bit early days, but talk.
I wouldn't say new opportunities. No. It's still the same dichotomy that I've been looking at for 20 years of what is our right to play in this area as a service provider. So again, it comes down to if you need to put IoT in a gateway and you're shipping 2 million gateways a year, that's, let's say, $3 per gateway times 2 million devices. It's a big expense to then make back. Yeah. So trying to seed the market is one thing, but you've got to have a business case in mind. So I think the Matter initiative and a coalition of people standardizing access, so you don't have to have a separate device to bridge Wi-Fi and IoT or internet and the like, is getting there, but it's not quite enough yet. There's still maturity to happen in the standards organization. I think professional services and utilizing our field force to help installs and setup is key. Having some first-party devices that we ship that will just work out of the box, others that will integrate in the home, in the Matter, you can buy something off Amazon and use, and then third-party sort of API type cloud-to-cloud integration. So we are actively looking at what our right to play is, but it's kind of baby steps at the moment. If we don't do it, the scale operators, the Amazons, the Googles will come in and take the home network from us. So it could be seen as a defensive play, but it's absolutely something that's growing. And I think 2, 3, 4 years time, we'll be coming back and saying what we've done and hopefully how successful it's been.
Yes, because the risk is that people do it themselves. Obviously, that's the case right now, that people do it themselves, essentially, right? Yeah,
and I mean, if you looked at my home network, I've got 60, 70, 80 IoT devices. I'm not your average customer of a broadband provider. I've done that myself. 99% of our customers aren't capable, let alone willing to do that themselves.
Ivo, any comment from you on the opportunities in the service provider space for?
Well, I just want to follow that. I think all the homes are not in the position to manage their IT infrastructure. and digitalization is
Yes.
just starting in the
Yes.
whole home. So there will be a lot, and nobody really can take care of this. And I believe the guy who understands, again, it's data, who understands what's going on in the home can help the most. If you know the devices, if you know what happens when they need the devices and what for they need the devices, these guys will be able to help the homes to have a good experience.
And with the companies you work with right now, some of that, of course, is there, but there's still a long-term vision for exactly that. That's what we're working towards, right?
There is a long-term vision on that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think this is actually the telco business at the end, because telco reduces to connectivity these days. I mean, sorry to say that, but that's what happens. Everybody's talking about ARPU, etc., etc. But this game is over. This game is over. There is connectivity, and we need to work on the connectivity, and a good connectivity gives new opportunities for new services.
Yes. To make it intelligent, basically, right? Yeah. Any comments on you from you? Obviously, Corvo is super bullish and very active in the IoT space and have been for a long time, right?
Yes, both IoT and not only unlicensed but also cellular IoT,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the key thing that I would like to add to this sentiment is what a view from Silicon Valley. Where I'm getting excited is about satellites,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
You go out in the sky, look at the stars and say, what if each of these satellites can provide me internet access? Changes the game, and it's happening. So we will have a different discussion 4 or 5 years from now.
Any last question for a panelist? There's one. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. I've always thought I was reasonably good at visualizing things, but I've just been stunned with, I'm trying to visualize a house or a home with 80, 90 IoT devices. My question is simple. Have you got some examples of what's going on in there? Because for me, it looks like a complete mystery, but there must be something going on there.
So how many light bulbs do you have? How many plug sockets do you have? If a single light bulb can potentially be an IoT device. If you've got 10 rooms in a house, you could probably have 20 plus light bulbs. That accounts for quite a lot of it. Just basic automations of if that then this type automations that will become, hopefully with the banned word or banned acronym in the future, will be a lot more easy for the customers to use, because they'll just learn what you need and do it for you. But yeah, plug sockets, smart power plugs, light switches, even things like home music systems. Like I've got the with Sonos that I've sort of Heath Robinson's and added to the IoT.
All right. Very good. I have one last question for you, Ivo.
Sure.
Did you complete 5 stages of the Plumstrom?
Yes, I did. Of course.
Unbelievable.
And I was looking for the 6th one, but
You're ready to keep going.
It says,
No,
yeah,
I'm
yes,
kidding,
of course,
I'm
like it's the
kidding.
most natural thing in the world, just
I
to go
know.
cycle
I couldn't get
500
through the
kilometers.
first half of the first one. Impressive.
Hey,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so much.
Claus.
Thank you, Ivo. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for
Thank you.
thanks for the panel. Thanks, Nitin. Thanks. All right.
Wi-Fi now, just connect.